Do you know what not to do in order to avoid having a notary complaint filed against you? In this video, we're going to review Alabama's Notary Misconduct investigative process. It went into effect September 1, 2023. My name is Michelle. I've been an Alabama commissioned notary for the past 19 years, and I have been training and mentoring Alabama notaries for the past 10.5 years. I do want to welcome you to my channel. Today's topic is, I believe, to be the most serious and the most important video that I've done so far. If you've watched some of my other videos, you'll see that there are times that I joke, make light of some things, talk about lighter topics related to being an Alabama notary. I try to keep it all educational, but this video is very serious, and so if you don't have time to watch the entire video right now, please do what you need to do so that you don't forget to come back and watch it later. And I mean this especially if you have an active notary commission at this point in time. You have to hear this, because the information that we will be covering in this video addresses criminal and civil charges that can be filed against notaries that failed to follow the new requirements. And so, since this is so important, I think I better share my screen. Nearly everything that we're going to cover in this video can be found on the Alabama Probate Judges Association's website. Make sure you bookmark this site. The URL is alpja.org. alpja.org. I'll make sure I include a link in the description below so that you can get to it. This is what it will look like. You're going to click on Notary Public Training, and it may take a moment for it. Good, it switched over. You're going to come here, and as you can see, this is where you will find the step-by-step process to become a commissioned Alabama notary. We're going to just skip all of that for this video, and we're going to go straight to this section here called Notary Misconduct Affidavit. And you're just going to go ahead and click on this link. I already have it opened. Let's see if I can switch over to it. Every now and then it is on. It's JOB. I'm loving it. So what I'd like to do is review the actual form or affidavit that must be completed by someone that you've notarized something for, or by someone who is accusing you of misconduct. All right, and so that's what we're going to use. But you can, and I encourage you to go ahead and download this form, print it out, and review it. So this is the actual form. And I do want to read the commentary. As you can see here, it cites the Alabama Code section that pertains to Alabama notaries. Excuse me, and it states, any party to a transaction requiring a notarial certificate for certification, for verification, and any attorney licensed in the state who is involved in such a transaction in any capacity may execute an affidavit and file it with either the Secretary of State or the judge of probate who issued the commission to the notary public, setting forth the action which the affiant alleges are violations. The affidavit must be typewritten or legibly printed. Upon receipt of a properly submitted affidavit, the Secretary of State or the judge of probate who issued the commission to the notary public shall forward the affidavit to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, which will then initiate and carry out investigations of violations. You heard it. So, again, anyone who feels as if I have not adhered to Alabama's code for notaries can fill out this form and request an investigation to be started. Okay? I'm not going to read the instructions for the form, but we're going to take a look at it. That first page is like a cover sheet, instruction sheet. Here is the actual form that the victim, the person who believes they were victimized by a notary, completes. They're going to provide our name, our phone number, our address, if they have it. If it's a notary who is performing notarizations while on their job, the employer information and location and contact information, and then the notaries. Let me make sure you guys are following along. Yes, it looks like it. The notary's commission expiration date, the way that it appears on the documents that were notarized, and then the dates that the improper acts took place, the alleged improper acts. Then the person filing the complaint will provide their information, including the name and contact information of any witnesses. That's the second page. Here's the third page. I think I'll read this since it says it's important. Complaints must present factual evidence within the personal knowledge of the person making the complaint that the notary engaged in conduct that violates the laws and the rules governing Alabama notaries public. Upon receipt of a properly submitted affidavit, the Secretary of State or the judge of probate who issued the commission to the notary shall forward the affidavit to ALEA, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. ALEA will then initiate and carry out on their own or in coordination with local law enforcement agencies investigations of violations. Where appropriate, ALEA shall then refer the matter to the local district attorney for criminal prosecution. The judge of probate who issued the commission to the notary public may also take disciplinary action against the notary public, ranging from a warning to a restriction, suspension, or revocation of a notarial commission. Additionally, the judge of probate may order injunctive relief against any person who violates the laws and rules governing the conduct of Alabama notaries public. This injunctive relief may include, but is not limited to, ordering the surrender and destruction of a notary commission and a seal. I'm going to pause here. In this paragraph here, we find out the investigation will be conducted, and if the investigators find there is sufficient evidence, they will make a recommendation to the district attorney in our county to say, yes, we believe criminal charges should be filed against the notary. To me, that's a very powerful sentence and statement. This would mean, if it were me, God forbid, that I should expect to receive an important letter in the mail summoning me to court, or a knock at my front door from the sheriff department with a warrant for my arrest or a summons to appear to court, or one of those things. Since I am not a lawyer and neither am I an expert when it comes to criminal law, I'm going in a gray area. So any of my paralegal colleagues from NOWS in API, please chime in on how that will play out or could play out for notary. In that next paragraph, it talks about injunctive relief. What that implies to me is while the local district attorney and the investigators are trying to decide if criminal charges should be filed against me or you, the probate judge in our county can review the affidavit and the evidence provided so far and make the decision to yank my notary commission and to say, you're done. There's even, before we go any further with this, the evidence clearly states you don't know what you're doing. You are wreaking havoc on the community by your actions. It could be permanent, it may be temporary. These are instructions to the person making the allegations. And it says that your complaint must allege a violation of this code. Check the specific allegation, complete page 4. If any additional allegations have been violated by the notary but are not listed below, include those allegations on page 4. So they didn't list everything that can go wrong. All right? I think they list the most common, but there's more. And so the victim, the alleged victim, is going to go through here and check the list, check the box. Did the notary hold him or herself out to the public as a notary without being commissioned? Yes, that happens. Did someone pretend to be a notary, notarize a person's document, and then the person found out later the notarization was invalid because the person wasn't commissioned? Did the notary perform a notarial act when their commission had expired, been suspended, or restricted? Did the notary perform a notarial act before taking an oath of office? Due to the new law, all of us have to be sworn in as Alabama notaries. And so there is a little bit of a gap in time for existing notaries when it's time for them to renew. Let's say their commission expires on, I'm making this up, of course, July 4th. And probate office is closed. The notary is planning on getting in there on July the 5th or the 6th to renew, but lo and behold, Grandma, Meemaw, Nana has taken a turn for the worse. I'm sorry, grandparents. And now wants to write out something, sign something important, and get it notarized. Forget about the whole, in this example, forget that you're related to it. It's not a good idea for a notary to notarize for a family member. But for the sake of discussion, she needs a notary. You're there. I could see a notary saying, you know what, let's get it done. I'm going to renew anyway, no big deal. It's a big deal. It would be against the law. Notary charged a fee for a notarial act in excess of the maximum fee allowed by law, which is now $10 for each notarial act. Notice it does not say for each signature, for each stamp. It's different. It is very important that we as notaries understand what is meant by a notarial act. It is also important that you be able to discern between the different types of notarial acts, because depending on the act, the fee may be $10 or $20. You do not want to overcharge a person. Okay? Overcharging is a crime. Did the notary perform an acknowledgement or administered an oath or affirmation without the principal being present and without complying with remote notarization law requirements? So let's get rid of this section right here. I think 90% of Alabama notaries are not performing remote notarizations. I am basing that on, I'm assuming, because notice it's not remote online notarization, it's remote notarization. This is a very unique, challenging type of complicated and challenging type of notarization to perform, which is why I think only 10% of us are doing them. So for the 10% that is performing this type of notarization, make sure you dot your I's, cross your T's, and do it perfectly, correctly. All right, but going back to the first part of this sentence, performing an acknowledgement or administered an oath or an affirmation without the principal being present. First of all, do you even know how to administer an oath or an affirmation? Do you know when it is required for you to administer an oath or an affirmation? If the answer is no, that's a problem. But let's say that you do know how. I think it would be easy to say, well, I would never do this without the principal being present. And hopefully you know what is meant by the principal. But it's easier to happen than you think. Because if a document, a legal document, is drawn up to be signed by more than one individual, so there are 2, 3, 4 principals named in a document, but you only meet with that one of those individuals or 2 of them. If you, the notary, don't complete that notary certificate correctly, it will appear that you are notarizing the signatures of everyone named in the document. This is something that is tripping up many notaries. And by the way, if you want more information about this example, please check out the video I did that says stop doing this. Stop doing this type of notarization, dealing with the notary certificate. All right, please follow that. I go into more detail there. I know I really struggle with the name of that video. So this happens more than you think. This right here is the culprit of many allegations about notary misconduct. And some of the time, and probably most of the time, it's because the notary did not receive proper training, did not complete the notary certificate correctly, found him or herself in hot water, had no idea the damage that was done. This is something that affects property, real estate transactions, quit claim deeds, warranty deeds, bills of sale. You've got to be very careful with those documents. Took a verification or proof without personal knowledge or satisfactory evidence of the identity of the subscribing witness. I have already committed to doing a separate video on subscribing witness. This is something that I found out about when the new law came out. And then I recently went on the National Notary Association's website, and I found out they've got a special form, a special certificate for subscribing witness. And so I'm going to do some more research and do a video on that. So I'm gonna keep on going on this one, but whether it is a subscribing witness or not, focus on making sure that you take time to verify the signer's identity, whether it is as a subscribing witness or not. We've got to make sure that the person who does appear before us and shows us ID is the person named in the document. Took an acknowledgement, a verification of proof, or administered an oath or affirmation he or she, meaning the notary, reasonably believes to be false. Again, this is why I get frustrated when I hear an Alabama notary in particular say, we don't need to worry about what's in the form. All we're responsible for is to verify the signer's identity. Not true. Not true. If there is enough reason or evidence for you to believe the signer is up to no good or is being untruthful, it is our responsibility to halt the notarization, not complete it. Stop. Committed any of the acts described in this list with the intent to commit fraud. Committed any of the acts described in this list to intentionally assist with committing a fraudulent act. Remember, this is not an all-inclusive list. The all-inclusive list can be found in the actual code. You can find a complete copy of the law by going to trainalabama.com. I'll make sure we take a look at that in just a little bit. All right, the person alleging notary misconduct has a place to explain what happened allegedly. Encouraged to attach additional sheets of paper. Provide supporting records. Please mark each supporting record attached to this affidavit, that should be reviewed by the Office of the Secretary of State or the Judge of Probate. And so they're telling the victim, attach a copy of the notarized document in question, copy of receipt for overcharged notarization. I think this is going to be a big one too. Based on the questions that I see in my Facebook group. By the way, if you are not a member of Notaries for Alabama Hangout and you are a commissioned Alabama notary, I want to invite you to join us. This is where we help one another out. We ask questions, and the question that keeps coming up, much to my surprise, is what a notary should charge someone. That should be a no-brainer. But I think the challenge comes for notaries who not only notarize signatures, but provide additional services like traveling to the signers for someone who is hospitalized or homebound or wants that convenience. And so in those situations, a notary needs to know how to calculate and come up with an accurate notary fee, first and foremost, and then charge a reasonable travel fee, um, add them together, communicate it in the form of a formal quote to the customer. And then if they agree to that and the appointment is made and completed, the notary needs to issue an itemized receipt. And I think that's where some notaries are struggling, because they don't know how to correctly calculate the notary fee. And so they may be telling the signer, oh, you need one form notarized, that's going to be $50 or $100. That's enough to get riled up over. Okay? All right. Any other evidence the victim is asked to outline? And then the victim or the complainant signs and dates in front of a notary. And this would be a different notary, not the accused notary. So if a different notary then would notarize the complainant's signature, put them under oath, add their seal, and then the complainant needs to turn this in to the Alabama Secretary of State's office or to their judge of probate for handling. We have just completed going through the entire notary misconduct affidavit. Again, if this is your first time hearing about this, going through it, I encourage you to download a copy, review it, and make sure you understand everything. It's possible that some of you have questions about what is reflected on this form or what I have said. This would be a good time for you to go ahead and type your questions in the comments section. I'll make every effort to respond to your questions. I've shown you where to go to find the notary misconduct affidavit. Now I want to show you where you can find information about training for notaries and where you can download a free copy of the entire law, notary law, that went into effect September 1, 2023. There are a couple places you can go. To me, the most easiest, more direct place is trainalabama.com. This is my training site. And just scroll down, you will see some notary classes. But this here, Alabama's Notary Accountability Act of 2023, download a free copy. You're going to click on here. And even though it says buy now, you're only going to pay $0, okay? And just go through the checkout process and you'll be prompted to click a link with a PDF version of the law. Very important that you do that, study it. Yeah, I won't call it life and death, but it could mean the difference between criminal or civil charges being filed against you. So that's really important. If you have questions about any of the classes that some of these may not have dates, just shoot me an email or type it in the comments and I'll make sure I get back with you. Most of the training is conducted via live Zoom, but if you are an employer and you have employees that you'd like to get trained with enough notice, advance notice, I can come and assist with that. And now I want to cover one last thing. Now that you have a better understanding about Alabama's notary misconduct investigative process, you might want to know what to do next. And I have some advice. It's not legal advice, but it's sound notary advice. I made some notes so you'll see me looking on my cheat sheet. 1, if you haven't been using a journal thus far, and many of you haven't, because in the state of Alabama, it's optional. And although it's optional, it is still a notary best practice to use a journal. So if you haven't been using a journal, buy a journal today and start using it. If you're not sure where to go to buy a journal, I'm going to leave a link in the description below to where I purchase my journals from, Alabama Notary Warehouse. I do have an affiliate partnership with the Alabama Notary Warehouse. So if you do buy a journal, the warehouse will send me a small commission. So that's one place you could buy it. You can also buy it from the National Notary Association or any other place that sells notary journals. But it's important that you use it because the information in that journal can come to your defense, especially when you're falsely accused of doing something as a notary. Those of you who have been using a journal, I want you to use it religiously, all right? And start adding more notes to your journal. When you administer an oath or an affirmation, make note of that in your journal. If you met the signer at Panera Bread or McDonald's or Starbucks, make a note. That's going to jog your memory later should something come up. Make sure you do indicate how you verified the signer's identity and how you determined or verified that the signer was alert, understood what was being signed, and that nobody was forcing them to sign. I put all of that in my journal entries. The type of ID they used. I even record when I refuse to notarize due to insufficient ID due to any reason. I put that in the journal. Number 3, include the notary fee that you collect in the journal. So the journal that I buy has a place for the notary fee. Record it there so that, again, if you are accused at a later date, there's a 99% chance you're going to be asked to produce records to support or contradict the allegations. It'll be nice for the authorities to see that the notary fee you charge complied with Alabama law. And if you collect a fee for the notarization, start issuing itemized receipts that shows what part of the fee was the notary fee and what part of the fee was your travel fee or photocopy fee or whatever service you provided. And make sure you're calculating that notary fee correctly. Number 5, study the notary laws. If you were to look at my 3-ring binder, so I printed out the law from trainalabama.com. Well, really, I printed it off of some other site, but it has yellow highlights, I have Post-it notes, I have red markers. And think of that. I thought I covered everything, only to find out a week or so ago that I skimmed over the section that deals with subscribing witness. The work that we do is so serious. You have got to focus on this. All right. This is in addition to the notary training that is mandatory, but that training doesn't get into this detail. But that doesn't mean this detail isn't important. So study the notary laws. Make sure you fully understand what's being asked of you. All right? And make sure you comply with all of the requirements, all of them. And so if there's something you don't fully understand, that's an issue. And you need to now get the training, get the answers to your questions so that you can adjust and change how you conduct notarizations going forward. Number 6, if you attend a formal training class, that's the right environment for you to ask questions and get answers immediately, correct answers. Not all training on the website has been updated to include the new laws. So before you buy anyone's training, ask them, does your Alabama notary course reflect the new laws that went into effect September 1, 2023? Number 7, network with other Alabama notaries. To me, the best way to do that is to join the Notaries for Alabama Hangout group on Facebook. It's free. Or be part of the Notaries for Alabama community here on YouTube. Become a subscriber. It's free to subscribe to the channel. Comment, make questions, comment on other comments. This by networking, you'll be able to attend meetups that are being held in different counties so you can get to know notaries in your community. Exchange information, ask questions, refer work, get work referred to you if that's what you want. If you're not in it for that, then just to learn from one another. Number 8, only use your seal when you are confident that you know what you're doing. Those of you who have maybe notarized only for a friend or family member once in 4 years, before you use that seal again, make sure you truly know what you're doing. Years ago, you could get away with using your seal and nothing coming back on you. Those days are over. Done. In the past. What you do now, it mattered then, but we notaries are being held accountable in a very serious way now. Number 9, proofread your work. One of the things that I would do when I was a notary signing agent is once I collected all the signatures and initials, I asked the signers, the husband and wife, I'm in their home. We're sitting at the kitchen table. I asked them to get up and go. I tell them, don't leave the premises, but leave me here so I can review the documents to make sure no signatures were missed, no initials were missed, all the dates are correct. Because with them sitting there asking questions, chit-chatting, I would get distracted and overlook something. And so what I'm saying to you, whether it's a signing agent appointment or general notary work, it is imperative before you leave the signing table to proofread your work. Take another look at the form that you just notarized. Take a look at your journal. Make sure you obtained the signature of the signer and you recorded everything correctly. And then number 10, purchase a small notary E&O, errors and omission insurance policy. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because even though we are all bonded, the bond does nothing to help you. On the misconduct form, I skimmed over it, but there's a section where it says, I believe it's there, yes, that the bond amount gets paid to the state of Alabama, and that bond amount ends up going to the victims. Whoever it's determined was harmed by your notary mistake or error. Okay? And then the bond company wants to get their money back, so they're going to send you a bill for the full amount that they paid to any victims. So again, that's why you can't count on the bond to help you out. But what can help you out as a commission notary is errors and omission insurance, because you can use that policy to pay for attorney fees, court costs, settlement costs, if you are involved in a situation where you're accused of wrongdoing. Remember, you can be innocent, but you still may have charges filed against you, criminal charges, which means you've got to go to court and defend yourself. And I know some of you think, well, that's fine. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't need a lawyer. Okay, if that's the way you want to approach it. But based on what I know, it is always a good idea to have representation when you go before the court of law. So I don't know what lawyers charge nowadays, but it's probably more than what I make an hour. And so it would be helpful for me to be able to call my notary E&O company and say, look, I've got a problem. and for them to say, well, you've got coverage, Michelle, you have a whatever $1,000 policy. When your lawyer sends you a bill, send it into us and we'll pay them out of your policy. Notary E&O is not as much as some people think. It can be as less than $100 for a 4-year policy. Okay? I'll leave a link for you to get the exact cost, see a quote. I am a licensed insurance agent in multiple states and can talk with you more about this and also provide you with a policy if that is what you choose to do. This way, again, you will not be fighting allegations by yourself. You will have someone trained to be there representing you. And for me, that's gonna help with my stress levels. All right, those are the 10 things. I didn't know they were 10 until I jotted them down. 10 things for you to keep in mind about next steps for you. I hope you found this information helpful. I hope you will take it seriously. Again, any questions that you have about something I've said or something I read, please type them in the comment section. If you are already a subscriber to my channel, thank you. I really appreciate it. And if you aren't, please consider becoming a subscriber so that you can be part of Alabama's notary community, where we're really committed to doing better, being better notaries. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a good rest of your day.